Hello, my name is Kayla Cook, and this video is for my CRIM 486 course. I'm going to be going over the Penn State trial. The perpetrator here is Jerry Sandusky. We're going to go over some violations by the institution as mandated reporters, how they failed these children and did not uphold their duties. So the first violation I'm going to go over was for the failure of Penn State to report abuse that was seen by a graduate student. This was in March 1st of 2022. The graduate student did see Sandusky having anal sex with a child. He did report that to Coach Joe Paterno. The coach then reported it to his superior, which was the Penn State athletic director, Tim Curley. So instead of immediately reporting this to the police or Child Protective Services, it did take over a week before they got back with the graduate student. The graduate student then met with Curley and the vice president for finance and business, Gary Schultz. The student was basically told this would be looked into, and then 2.5 weeks later, the graduate student was told that Sandusky's keys to the locker room were taken and that the report would be given to the Second Mile, which was a child charity that Sandusky was involved in. According to Curley, he also reported this abuse to the university president, Graham Spanier, who actually approved of the limited steps that were taken. This really shows how institutional hierarchy can fail children when mandated reporter goes from like one person to the next, allowing that abuse to be or that abuse report to be mishandled by people in institutional power, protecting the institution over the children. This was a clear violation of Pennsylvania's mandated reporting law, where even the suspicion of child abuse should have been reported immediately to authorities. Instead, it was handled internally. When Curley testified, he denied anything sexually reported, and Schultz actually said that, there was just like inappropriate grappling. Spanier, he said, and quote, Jerry Sandusky was in the football building locker area in the shower with a younger child, and they were horsing around in the shower, end quote. The grand jury did find that Curley and Schultz really downplayed the assault and were not credible, and that the abuse should have been reported to the Pennsylvania Department of Public Welfare or law enforcement as an obligation for the mandated reporters, as in the Law 23 PA CS 6319. And then we see this kind of again in violation 2. This happened before in 1998. Sandusky was actually investigated for showering with an 11-year-old boy. The boy's mother did report this, and the university police did investigate. But again, there was a failure to actually report this to Child Protective Services or law enforcement beyond the campus police. Sandusky even admitted to showering naked and hugging the child on June 1st in 1998 when he was interviewed. The quote from the grand jury said, in quote, that after a lengthy investigation by university police, Detective Ronald Schreffler, the investigation was closed after then Center County District Attorney Ray Grykar decided there would be no criminal charges. Schreffler testified that he was told to close the investigation by the director of the campus police, Thomas Harmon, end of quote. Again, this was handled within the institution and never got outside of that to actual law enforcement or to Child Protective Services. The jury found that this was mishandled and never reported properly. Then we have violation 3, where in 2000, a janitor saw Sandusky performing oral sex with a boy in the locker room showers. The janitor was so upset when he talked to his coworkers and supervisors about this that they actually thought that he might have a heart attack. No one ever reported this to police or child protective services. Staff actually feared that they would lose their job. And there was also some intimidation tactics going on by Sandusky at the time. Maybe he realized that the janitor saw that. He did, or it was reported that he had driven through the parking lot at a couple hour intervals throughout the night and into the early morning. Really, that instilled fear in the janitors and staff. So they did fail. This was a direct violation of mandated reporting laws. As employees, they had the duty to report the suspected child abuse, regardless of fear of hierarchy. This is why it's so important for mandated reporters to be educated on their responsibilities. Not only that, but it does show, again, how institutional hierarchy can cause issues for mandated reporters of lower rank, making it less likely that they will report the abuse that they saw. It's important that we take into consideration this case and the institutional hierarchy and the people in power play here, that as mandated reporters themselves did not report the abuse. Instead, again, they put the institution and its reputation over the lives of these children and never, went through with taking this out of the university's hands. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good day.